Hi everyone. So this is the video for week 2. I want to include some information, just some summaries about week 1, and also give you a preview, talk about the assignments that are due this week so you know what you need to do and what you need to prepare for next Sunday. So first, as far as week 1 goes, thank you all for your participation and involvement in the forums. Or in the forum, since we just had one this week. I appreciated all of your responses and your active participation. All of you certainly agreed with some of the ramifications of the employee misclassification of IC and employee, and certainly one of the biggest consequences or ramifications is the tax repercussions. So the taxes that are missed out, that are not paid towards both the state and the federal government. However, we also touched upon some of the other important consequences of classification, and that is that these individuals who should be classified as employees, classified as independent contractors, aren't given or don't know that they might have the protections of the many employment laws that are out there, both federal and state level, because most of them do not apply to independent contractors. So those laws include Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act, workers' compensation, unemployment benefits, and others as well. So it certainly is a hot topic and an important one too, as many companies are audited for classification issues, and also as many companies unknowingly find themselves involved in perhaps an audit or litigation if an employee files a complaint or if an employee brings a claim, alleging that they are misclassified and they're entitled to overtime, for example, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, or they were discriminated against or a victim of sexual harassment, and then an issue that the court has to decide is whether that person was improperly or properly classified. So you'll find this week, in week 2, we have 2 forums that you'll need to take part in and post in and participate in. And we will have 2 going forward. It's just the first week where there is just the one. So in terms of week 2 and content and the subject matter, we'll be dealing with the beginning and the end of the employment relationship, so hiring and firing. And you will learn more about this very important doctrine of employment law in the United States, and that, of course, is employment at will. And employment at will is the law of the land in all states but Montana. Montana is the only state that has codified a wrongful termination statute. So I've posted a copy of the text of the statute so you can see how Montana has dealt with that and what an employee or an employer has to show in order to show that it hasn't violated the statute and wrongfully terminated an employee. But perhaps as many of you know, working in HR and dealing with employees and terminations, employment at will is not really as common as it might seem. Employers are often reluctant to terminate, both for fear of legal liability, but nowadays with the unemployment rate as low as it is, employers perhaps don't want to get rid of employees for the trouble that they might have hiring someone to take their place. So employment at will, although it says that employers can terminate an employee for any reason, with or without notice, that really isn't always the case. So there has been, through practice, a modification of employment at will. However, in the courts, there certainly has been no judicial modification of employment at will, and it is still the law of the land. So some of the assignments this week. First, the case study. The case study does deal with the termination of an employee. There's various issues that you will have to examine as you craft an email response to Pat Jones, the CEO of ABC Incorporated. Some of the issues that you will want to think about is one that we'll touch upon in other weeks during the course, and that is the difference between good business practices and often the law. Sometimes what might be a good business practice is different from what is legally allowed, and something might be legally allowed, but in terms of what is a good business practice, an employer might choose to do differently. For example, you'll find that in the case study that the employee was terminated with a text message. That's legal. Is it a good business practice? No, probably not. But it certainly doesn't mean that a termination is wrongful or illegal. And that's one of those, it's a good example of how what the law allows and what we might recommend that employers do can often be at odds. You'll also want to think about protected classes. This will be kind of a foreshadowing of next week when we'll be talking about discrimination. So what are the classes of people who are protected under anti-discrimination laws? We know some of them: race, color, national origin, sex, religion, disability. There are other protected classes under federal law, but also under state laws, some state laws that have expanded the groups of protected classes. So keep that in mind as you're reading through the case study, and you'll see what this individual is complaining about in terms of being treated differently, and is that a protected class? There also are some issues of retaliation and reprisal. So you want to look at the state statutes for whistleblowers. Minnesota has the Whistleblowers Act 181, Minnesota Statute 181.932. Other states have similar statutes. If you're in a state other than Minnesota and you want help finding your state statute about regarding whistleblowing and retaliation, just let me know and I can help you find it. It's probably easier for me. I have access to some of the legal research websites, and I can help you find that. And in addition, there are also federal statutes such as Title VII, OSHA, that also protect whistleblowers if they complain about what they see is a violation of a law. So those are some of the issues to keep in mind. Remember that your response needs to be in an email to Pat Jones. And that's kind of a point that I want to bring up, also kind of goes back to week one. And some of the postings that you did also for the VoiceThread presentation or introduction that follow instructions. There were specific instructions for the VoiceThread presentation of a selfie in your space, and you were tasked with describing how that space relates to you. Some of you did some nice introductions, but you didn't respond to the instructions of the assignment, so you didn't get full credit. I'm pretty strict about following the instructions of an assignment. You can do a beautiful assignment, but if you don't ask what is, or if you don't answer what is asked in the assignment instructions, you will not get full credit. And I follow that. If you don't answer all of the questions that are posed in the discussion forum, you won't get full credit. There were some of the initial responses in the discussion forum where you didn't, or some students didn't respond to all of the questions. There were 4 questions that you needed to answer. Be sure you follow instructions. And that goes with the case study as well. The case studies have different people that you are supposed to respond to, different formats. So always pay attention to that so you don't lose points. And another thing to keep in mind, going back to the case study and week 2 with terminations, keep in mind with employment at will some of the exceptions. The exceptions being statutory exceptions like whistleblowers, discrimination. There are also the exceptions of violation or termination in violation of public policy, implied contract, and a breach of the covenant of good faith and fair dealing. I've posted a link to a table that will show you the states that recognize some of these exceptions to employment at will, because it isn't set that all 50 states recognize all of these same exceptions, because employment law is a state matter. It can vary from state to state. So continuing with the week 2 assignments, the other assignment you need to turn in is the first step in the final project, which is an employee handbook for ABC Incorporated. This week you have to turn in only a template of what you will then use and edit and revise and modify for your final version that you'll turn in week 8. This template can be any template that you find online. A lot of students in the past have used the SHRM template, which is an excellent one because it has a lot of resources that you can access to update and to modify the provisions to comply with state law. There's also one available online that is for the Small Business Association. Many students have used that in the past, and that's been successful as well. If you have a handbook available from your workplace, you can use that as well. Make sure there aren't any proprietary issues that would prevent you from doing so. You can also just search online and find other ones. Some things that students have done in the past that haven't worked so well. Some students have used a template from a Canadian company. I don't recommend that. We have really different laws from Canada. That's not such a good idea. Other students have used templates from nonprofit organizations. I don't recommend that either. We know that ABC is a for-profit corporation, a larger company with different locations. So keep that in mind as you're looking. But really, you just need to turn in a template. So there's no grading in terms of the content of the template. I'm not going to take away points because this template might not be the best. If I don't think it's suitable, I'll give you some suggestions and put that in the comments. But really, this is just an assignment where you just have to fulfill the first step towards the final project. And let me see. I think that was about it. I want to look at my notes here. And that looks like about it for all that I wanted to cover. If you have any questions about week 1 that you want to follow up with, or with week 2 as you're working through the projects with your partner or without. And remember, with your partner, you don't have to use FaceTime. That might be harder to coordinate. Use email, start a Google Doc, whatever you want to do that will allow you to work together. If you're working alone, or even if you're working with a partner, please just reach out and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer. The best way to get a hold of me is with messaging on Engage. I just realized that there was a post in the Ask the Instructor forum that I just missed. I didn't get notice of it. It was posted on Thursday. I just saw it now. And so sometimes those seem to pass me by, and I don't see those as easily as the messages just directly to me. So keep that in mind. And have a good week, and I will see you online.